And some of the airlines that decided not to fly to Venezuela after the U.S. economic sanctions against the country are returning today. The report is here with Madeleine Garcia.
Portugal's TAP airline has resumed its flights to Venezuela as a symbol of dialogue, economic and political stability. The page has been turned on the conflict started in February 2019 when the airline boarded self-proclaimed President Juan Guaido from Europe under a false name, violating aviation regulations, thus been suspended for 90 days. So they have announced that they have returned to Caracas after being approved for operations in a country for which there is increased interest among Portuguese travelers.
We recently opened 2 new routes to Spain and Portugal. The first TAP flight has finally arrived after more than 2 years. We have now 6 flights to Spain with different Plus Ultra airlines. Conviasa is doing the Mexico, Panama and Dominican Republic flights as well as Bolivia. There is an interest from Chilean and Argentinian airlines to return to the country. We have signed an extension of the agreement establishing the commercial relations with Chile and Argentina to broaden the spectrum of this relationship, and we have had meetings with Peru for an air service agreement that did not exist.
Venezuela showed the world that it is able to grow in the aviation sector despite the illegal economic sanctions imposed by the United States and the blockade. And although the airspace is not completely open due to the pandemic, there are many airlines requesting permission to open their routes.
That means respect, because even when they do not have a similar political position or do not agree with Venezuelan politics, they respect Venezuelan civil aviation because despite the sanctions and the blockade, they have realized that we have succeeded in our endeavors and the sanctions have rather been a motivation for us, and we are flying along without anyone's guidance and growing, making things better every time. And a good example of this is that Venezuela has been opening more international routes.
On the private sector, such airlines as teleSUR, which did not abandon the Venezuelan market, are hopeful about recent developments.
Venezuela is a strategic point and everyone would like to come here. At one point, they withdrew because of the conditions of the country. Sanctions that are affecting us a lot also appeared, and then they were removed. The pandemic came too, but now they all want to return. The important thing is that they want us here.
Little by little, Conviasa, Venezuela's state airline, has expanded and continues to grow. By the end of this year, 2022, it'll reach 22 international destinations, and although competition dictates safeguarding one's interests, best lesson is to open doors even to those who try to shut them for Venezuela.
We, from here, from the air sector, will welcome the airlines that wish to come to Venezuela. There is a market that some airlines at the time decided to abandon, and that is the Venezuelan airline market. Venezuela being the natural hub in the region where fuel is cheaper, the airport infrastructure is cheaper, but they decided to bow to an illegal strike, to illegal sanctions. Today, Conviasa has undoubtedly occupied space, and we are seeing that many airlines that at the time left Venezuela are showing signs of wanting to return to Venezuela.
Venezuela is working to become once again the hub of the Americas, that is, the connecting center for passengers and cargo from the region, taking advantage of its geostrategic location. Currently, there are 32 airlines flying to Venezuela, 9 of them international, of which 5 for passengers and 4 for cargo.
Madeleine Garcia, teleSUR, Caracas, Venezuela.